So, before the police even got a hold of Freddie Gray was already under attack. Just like so many other African Americans, right, and so many other communities of color. Freddie Gray had all the cards stacked against him. So, Freddie Gray, growing up, lived in, basically, he lived in a slum. He lived in a house that was full of lead paint. Now, let me be very obvious. Let's start here. For folks who don't know, right, the Federal Housing Authority, the people who sort of give money out for Section 8, years ago, the federal government mandated that all housing projects, very similar to the one that Freddie Gray was raised in, be painted with lead paint. Eons ago, right? I guess before they quote-unquote knew the harms of lead paint. A lot of air quotes happening for folks who are listening to this on the radio, right? So that happened. Freddie Gray, and there was never an opportunity or a chance or a moment where they said, we're going to fix this. I mean, they eventually fixed it. But Freddie Gray basically grew up in a house that was based in lead paint, right? So, and as we already know, lead paint can do awful things to brain development. And so, Freddie Gray, along with his family, filed suit against the Maryland Department. Well, this is against his slumlord, right? So the suit was against the owner of the home, Stanley Rochkind, and he was fined $90,000. And he had to rid his 480 units. 480 units. So there's 480 other opportunities for other kids to be poisoned by lead paint because this guy never updated his apartments or his units with the correct paint. So thus, in Maryland, more than 2,600 children have been found to have high levels of lead in their blood. Right? And this started because of homes built in the 1950s that required this lead paint. And now it's fallen off steadily since 1994, but folks like Freddie Gray were already impacted by it. Right? And the long-term exposure to lead paint leads to stuff like blood anemia, leads to kidney disease, muscle weakness, brain damage, and possibly even death. So I say all that to say that now Freddie did win a huge settlement. His family won a settlement, and they were pretty much living off of their lead. They call them lead checks. That's what they were called. They're called in Baltimore. They got a lead check because they're poisoned with lead. But it really speaks to the fact that there is a sense in this country that there are it's a tale of two cities. Because in one city, you have a situation where there isn't lead paint and there aren't handing out lead checks. And on the other side of the city, you have lead paint, you have dilapidated community of a lack of jobs, and you have people handing out lead checks simply because people are poisoned with lead. America, we have a problem on our hands. There are the haves and the have-nots, and the haves continue to have, and their have continues to multiply, and the have-nots, their have-not continues to divide, so they have less, and they have less, and they have half of less, and a fourth of less, and a third of less, before they have nothing. Nothing. Nothing, America. So let's have a real conversation, and let's not just say, oh, this is about the police. This goes beyond the police. It really does. Now, we saw what happened in Baltimore, and it really sort of calls to question the belief that, there is a power vacuum in this country, right? 99% of us have no power. We have no power over our own very lives. And don't think about it in just the police, the community versus the police, but also think about it in the fact that, I was thinking about this a couple of days ago, like in real life, practicality of it. When you go to the airport and your flight, and the airline's like, oh, we're going to delay your flight for an hour. Oh, we're going to delay your flight for 2 hours. Oh, we're going to delay your flight for 3 hours. Oh, we're going to delay your flight for 4 hours. You have no control. They could care less about you as a person. They're like, whatever, we'll just keep delaying the flight, and we won't answer any of your questions. We'll make you wait in another line. And so the sense that I get is, in the workplace, a lot of workplaces, your boss really doesn't care about you. Think about all the Walmart workers, the Target workers, the McDonald's workers. Do you think Walmart really cares if one of their workers is sick? No. As long, can we find, because we can find somebody else to stack the shelves. So your job doesn't care about you, right? Then you go to businesses. A lot of businesses don't really care about their customers. They don't. They're just like, whatever. I mean, you think about all the companies, all the businesses, especially the larger ones. They'll make you wait in long lines. They'll delay, like the airlines. They'll delay flights. Nobody cares. Not a big deal. They don't ask you if they're going to. They don't ask your opinion on when should they delay it or not. It's like, oh, just delay it. Whatever. We'll get them a hotel. It's the same ideal. It's just it's a sense that, like, it's like a lack of humanity, and it's a really disgusting thing. Just putting it out there.